Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Battle City number 8. We begin this show with a Raigeki Championship quarterfinal, the Riddler versus Captain Planet. Hello everyone, welcome, and once again, I am the Sentinel here to bring you all the exciting action here tonight. We have 3 tournaments continuing on. We have got the second quarterfinal match, as I said before, of the Raigeki Championship. Of course, the winner of that championship gets an Exceeds title shot at the time of their choosing, but we are just at the beginning of this with the Riddler, as the Riddler has, boy, what do I even say? Since showing up in CIW, the Riddler has joined the Greasy Green Gigolos, betrayed the Greasy Green Gigolos, has had a very strange and unique relationship with Ganondorf, the BGC. I did not care to ask what that meant, but the Riddler has been in the throngs of it, of course, betrayed the Greasy Green Gigolos, as I mentioned before, having an entire feud going on to that, but the Riddler seems to always be on the receiving end of the punishment. He seems to be at the bottom of the ladder, quite literally, but something tells me that's the way he likes it. But here comes Captain Planet, the man who has yet to win gold in Colonial Impact Wrestling, but has made a significant impact nonetheless, as he is a man who has received and has distributed a record number, has made a tremendous amount of money off his rehabilitation program and DVD set, as he has had a number of Colonial Impact Wrestling wrestlers actually change their ways and come onto the program, the most recent being Bruce Lee. But Captain Planet wants gold. I know for a fact Captain Planet would love nothing more than to have all of the hard work that he puts in, additionally to his drive to help people. He would love to have some championship gold to validate all of his athletic ability, because let's remember, the only reason that all of these wrestlers got repatriated is that Captain Planet beat them in the ring. You know, he's got a tremendous amount of skill, and it could manifest itself. This tournament could be his opening. He's had a good couple of chances in tournaments before. Could this be the one where lightning strikes? Let's take a look at the bracket. Raigeki Championship. Round 1. As we saw before, just in that bracket, Abizzle beating Jack Black on the last episode of Battle City. All of this leading towards the Autumn Asylum, where Raigeki Championship will be rewarded to the winner of this tournament in the finals. That's going to be taking place in September. But we've got a ways to go from there. And of course, later on tonight, we've got 2 more semifinal matches here tonight. We've got Valentine versus Marle in the Blossom Semifinals, and then the main event tag team match, the Greasy Green Gigolos, who I talked about, with the Riddler taking on the Keanu Konnection, as we have already figured out the first halves of these final pairings for all of these tournaments, as the Riddler getting as much distance as he possibly can from Captain Planet, and now having the balls to egg him on. But Planet very calculated, very smart, and he's dealt with a lot of slimy situations before. Of course, one of the people that he repatriated was Mr. Clean, back when he was Dr. Dirty, although it turns out that whole thing is a gray area no matter what color Mr. Clean's wearing, but that's only because he feigned loyalty for a real long time. But in any case, let's not get into that. But Captain Planet, looking here, and look at this. He's got the arm wrench. He's got a chin lock in the process, as he's just attacking 2 areas at once. That big planetizer. The Riddler has the NDA, I think is what I've called it, where he does some very, I don't even know how to describe it in layman. Let's say he has very inappropriate relations in a violent sort of way with his opponent in order to pin them and also gross them out. There's a lot of psychological to it. And then a knee to the mat and not even a 1 count, as Captain Planet is surviving so far, but the Riddler has seemed to have taken over here, ever so slightly, here to start things off. And now look at the arm wrench. An arm wrench this time, and of course that planetizer is definitely in need of an arm to hook the head to bring him down to the canvas. As the Riddler by joining DC, I guess kind of became a part of the 780-day reign of done caring. And now another cover here, and not even a 1 count again from the Riddler after slamming Captain Planet's whole face and his entire body into the mat, trying to use Captain Planet's momentum against him. And now look at this. He's going to look him into a vertical suplex position and landing it. Textbook, if you will, by Captain Planet. This Planet now going for a guillotine, trying to choke the life, and I see a smile there. See, no, you can't choke the Riddler. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. He likes that stuff. I keep trying to tell this to people. Nobody seems to understand. Wait a minute, did the Riddler counter that? The Riddler just countered into a leg wrench as is finding a way to slip out of it and counter an impressive counter by the Riddler. It was so quick, I almost missed it. A cover from the Riddler and not a 1 count again. Riddler has yet to even get referee Jonah Hill's hand to the canvas once in this matchup. Now a counter there into a collar and elbow tie-up, and now a big body slam. Down he goes from Captain Planet. As I was starting to say, Riddler a part of the 780-day reign, but he was not in the tag team faction for that 780 days. It was just in the latter half. And as a matter of fact, it was the Riddler who got pinned for DC to lose those titles, which has led to this DC, or at least the Justice Leaguers in Batman and Aquaman, having a bit of a vendetta against the Riddler and Ganondorf as of late, which we have seen manifest a couple of occasions, and a low blow message sent. And that could be enough. Wait, Riddler going up to the top rope. Look out here, going for a knee down to the face, and I think he got it. An impressive knee to the face, and now going to the top again, and a forearm this time. Captain Planet saw it coming. And a low blow message sent turns the momentum back into the Riddler's corner, as the Riddler has a lot of fun attacking the genitalia of the men around. It's been a lot of, it's kind of like that gold dust gimmick, but I would argue that the Riddler kind of lives that gimmick as opposed to just Dustin Rhodes using it. I'm pretty sure that the Riddler lives that every single day. And hey, more power to him. He just got planetized for his trouble out of nowhere. So they say. The cover by Planet. 1, 2, 3, and that is it. Captain Planet weathers a little flurry of offense, lands a big body slam, the counter there with the knees, and ultimately a planetizer, advances Captain Planet to the second round. But that is where Captain Planet has remained. In every tournament that he's ever been in, he's always made it to the second round, and that's where he's stagnated. Can he break through in the semifinals? It's going to be a little while until we see that, but a big win from Captain Planet here tonight to advance in the Raigeki Championship Tournament. Let's take a quick look at the bracket, and let's move on to our next matchup. Our next match is a semi-final matchup in the Ash Blossom Championship Tournament. Scheduled for one fall, this was originally supposed to be a triple threat match that the Wii Fit trainer was going to be in. However, due to the unbelievably petty actions of Wonder Woman crushing the larynx of Wii Fit trainer at Massacre, she has had to abdicate and forfeit her position in this tournament. And also as a result of those actions that Wonder Woman executed on the Battle City before Massacre, Wonder Woman has been banned from the next Ash Blossom tournament when we have one. But Marle made it a point to get here, beating Taya Gardner in a matchup that we didn't expect, at least we didn't expect Marle to come out with a victory there, as Taya Gardner still looks to find her footing here. But here comes Ivy Valentine. And Ivy Valentine had a tremendous triple threat matchup to secure a victory to get to this match here tonight, as she has been arguably one of the most impressive looking and impressive wrestlers that has made a debut in the Ash Blossom tournament, the first women's tournament of its kind. As the triple threat, and I take it back, it wasn't a triple threat match, but Ivy Valentine had a hell of a match with Nina Sayers in order to get to this point, looking to continue her momentum. Let's take a look at the bracket. Ash Blossom Championship Semifinal. And folks, there you saw it. Padme Amidala awaiting the winner of this matchup as the finals of the Ash Blossom Championship. What a belly-to-belly by Ivy Valentine, who definitely has a size advantage, the height, probably the strength. We'll see whether Marle can keep up with Ivy's speed, as she is known to have that whiplash chain whip that she has, at least in the Soul Calibur games. Marle from Chrono Trigger, big bulldog, as Marle seemingly catching Ivy Valentine off guard. As this matchup, the finals of this Ash Blossom Championship Tournament, are going to be airing on the Brawlbarbecue on the 4th of July, a Saturday night TV special that you're going to see right here on Colonial Impact Wrestling. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, switch that bell button to all, to hashtag Save a Referee today, because not only do your likes and subscriptions also help the channel grow and develop and provide to you the best programming we possibly can, but we also contribute a good amount of that funding towards the medical bills of our referees, who are always in the line of trouble. And a belly-to-belly, down goes Ivy Valentine, and so far in this matchup, it's been tit for tat, elbow drop, nobody there, and a leg drop to the legs of Marle. Marle has that devastating Ice 2, as Ivy is looking to make her statement, made her debut in this tournament. Marle making her debut last year at the all-women's show Empowerment that we had. Both of these ladies would love nothing more than to get a shot at the CIW Women's Championship. A cover by Marle again, and not enough, as it was not even a one count, as you could tell Marle, trying to get this over quickly, does not want this matchup to go long, and I can understand why, as Ivy Valentine had a pretty good excursion with Nina Sayers and came out on top. Impressively came out on top. As Ivy Valentine, oh, and a low blow from behind, a me wallet mutilator, if you will, and how about one front waist just for emphasis? It's Ivy Valentine with that big whiplash, and oh god, not again, and as the referee, as I believe we've actually switched referees. This is referee Jerry Greenfield now, as we're going to have a different referee for all three of these matchups here tonight. And we thank Jonah Hill for coming in for the opener. Jerry Greenfield here tonight. And then, of course, we are going to get Luke Goss in our main event. Now an over-the-top suplex. And down goes Marle. Take a drink or a scoop of ice cream. And so far, as both of these ladies have been brawling back and forth, there's been a lot of suplexes, and now Ivy Valentine, trying to get some space, launches over the top. Wait a minute, Asai moonsault, lands it as much as you can in this game, breaking the fourth wall. A certified, usually it's a certified CIW 30. I would say that was about an 88%. And breaking the fourth wall, I don't know why. Of all the things that you could not program in to this game, why you couldn't program a springboard actually landing on an opponent is beyond me. Of all the things to just leave out. Anyway, you know what? They did so much else. I'm not going to complain. I never complain. That's why this game has been the game that I've chosen to champion for the past 12 years and counting. And now a leg attack, take a drink or a scoop of ice cream. Smart by Marle to stop that whiplash, as it does take both of those legs to drive that skull into the canvas. We saw it with Nina Sayers. Marle hit that ice too. Of course, that big moonsault, that middle rope assisted moonsault. Meanwhile, mutilation across the board. And it seemed like this matchup started out respectful, but it has gotten more and more disrespectful as this matchup has progressed. But which one of these two ladies will meet Padme Amidala in the finals? As we have just gotten some confirmation here, actually, by the CIW Council. We've got it all approved, that we are going to find out who will win the Ash Blossom Championship Tournament, as the meat wallet continues to be mutilated, but this time with those very stiff cables that are definitely going to, I'm sure there will be some swelling at the very least. And a little wonky wobbling, as that happens to the guys too, I'm almost positive. But we've got a confirmation that the winner of the Ash Blossom Championship will have to earn it in a 10-minute Iron Woman match. And that match is actually going to start off the Brawlbarbecue in 2 weeks' time on Saturday the 4th of July at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're also going to have the Mirror Force Championship Finals on that same night. We've also signed in Dante versus Freddy Krueger, as Dante is now finally recovered physically in a DDT from Ivy from the betrayal. Well, that wasn't even a betrayal because it wasn't like they were friends. Freddy Krueger screwing Dante out of the Millennium Championship, as Freddy paid for that by being banned from this entire brand, as it was decided 5-1 as a result of Freddy ruining the Millennium Championship tournament, that he would be banned from Battle City. And I'll also admit, the one dissenter was me, because I thought that was too much. I thought that, like, I understand if you want to give him like a probationary period. Oh, wait a second, La Maestro Cradle. Could Ivy Valentine steal it? 1, 2, and only 2. Marle finds a way to kick out, and Ivy Valentine thought she had it. And now, oh, and went for a counter there as caught unawares. And oh no! Jerry is down as Marle accidentally grabbed the wrong arm for the arm drag. And that might have been a costly mistake by Marle. And now another La Maestro Cradle, and there's no referee. He's literally convulsing behind you, or maybe just enjoying the view. I'm not sure. That's the whole reason why I got Ivy Valentine here. But she is holding this La Maestro Cradle, and finally Marle kicks out. And it was probably smart by Marle to let that last as long as it did, just for the recovery time that she probably needed. But getting back to Freddy, I thought that being banned permanently from an entire half of CIW was much, but Pegasus was insistent, and it seems like everybody's tired of Freddy's shit. So be it, Freddy. You reap what you sow. This is what happened with Bully. It's apparently happening with Dante. So Dante and Freddy Krueger at the Barbecue, and of course signed in the Exceed Championship rematch, Majin King, Meowjin King versus Ken Masters for the Exceed Championship. Whiplash, and down goes Marle, and that has got to be enough to put Marle away. The cover here, 1, 2, 3. Ivy Valentine advances. But this was a back and forth contest from the start, but there was it started respectful. Both meat wallets got very mutilated, and ultimately the Whiplash secures the victory for Ivy Valentine. She is 2-0 in CIW, looking to beat the 2-time women's champion Padme Amidala in the Ash Blossom Championship Finals, and the winner of that belt gets a women's championship match at the time of their choosing. You have to imagine Ivy Valentine wants to go right from zero to hero. Can she do it? She's on her way. Let's take a look at the bracket and move on to our main event. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our main event! And it is the semifinals for the Mirror Force Championship Tournament. Introducing first, the Greasy Green Gigolos, the former CIW Tag Team Champions, Reptile and Piccolo. First coming down the aisle, Reptile. As Reptile, who has always been thirsty for a good fight. He came in with, actually, believe it or not, he came in with Scorpion and Sub-Zero in 2015 as a part of Jack Nation Redemption and that whole debacle that we now talk about kind of in a, it was a dark time for us, but at the same point, we needed that adversity to grow into what we are. And this man is crucial to CIW's identity, as are the Greasy Green Gigolos as a whole, as here comes Piccolo. As the Greasy Green Gigolos would love nothing more than to have Tag Team Championship gold again. Back in the quarterfinals, they beat both Brandon Ulrich and Johnny Cage, the Unforgettable, and Noob Smoke in the Triple Threat Hardcore Tornado Tag quarterfinals to make it to this point. This match is just a regular old tag team match, and the winner of that will go on to face Incredizone, who won 2 weeks ago on Battle City 7 to advance in the Mirror Force Finals, which we will have also at the Barbecue on July 4th. As this man, you just can't help but smile. You just can't help but smile. This guy has went from the I'm so serious and I take myself so seriously and I'm always the most serious guy in the room. He came to CIW and just let loose and just became an enigma all of his own, a Nemurian enigma. Oh, there it is, the Nemurian enigma Piccolo. As if ever Piccolo struck it out on his own, we now have the name. But this man has come so far and is a huge part of the Greasy Green Gigolos vibes being what they are, why they're so respected. They are the ones who ended the 780-day reign of DC, the longest CIW tag team title reign of all time.
And the opponent.
But now, introducing their opponents. First coming up is a two-time CIW tag team champion in his own right, albeit with the shades of black with Riddick, but now in a tag team with John Wick, the Keanu Konnection. And the Keanu Konnection, I would argue, are maybe one of the most polarizing tag teams in CIW, as they have run afoul of a lot of interesting cats and characters over the years that they have been together, which has been pretty much a calendar year since that whole thing came and went, and Riddick ended up being converted into Majin at the beginning of this year. But Neo had already separated himself and joined John Wick as the Keanu Konnection and their affiliate Black Cat tried to get the names of Shades of Black, tried to get the rights to it, and it didn't quite work out like that. But the Keanu Konnection know that they are easily the most powerful. If there is, of course CIW's rules are you can't use your powers in CIW in the ring. But both of these guys are of the impression that if they could, they 1,000,000,000% would be more powerful than anybody here, and it wouldn't be negotiable. And as a result, that attitude has carried them to this point. And we will see whether these two can actually do it. We will see whether these two can actually make it into championship periphery. Let's take a look at the bracket. Mirror Force Championships Semi-Final. And folks, you saw that right. The New Boo crew were beaten by the Keanu Konnection and the Sons of Lavos. Now, fairly, Wario and Shiva didn't even get a chance because the match that the Keanu Konnection had, they literally whipped the entire ass of Chrono as Neo just completely dominated him. And within like maybe 95 seconds of the match starting, the Keanu Konnection advanced. It was a one-sided mugging, and the match had barely gotten started and it was over. But can they beat a team as enigmatic and charismatic as the championship credential laden Greasy Green Gigolos and a big tornado DDT by Reptile here in your main event and a drop kick to the back? But Neo knows how to secure championship gold, albeit it has been a long while since either of Neo has had, well, actually a long while since Neo or Riddick or anyone has had of the Shades of Black has had championship gold. That was 2014, 2015 area. It is a long time since those teams have really carried the belts. I believe they actually had them last when we relaunched in 2020. But it has been almost 5-6 years since that point. And Neo would love nothing more than to be tag champions again. And another tornado DDT as Reptile using his deceptively fast speed to gain the advantage and giving Neo a bit of a timeout here to rethink just what kind of environment he's in. But the other X factor here is that John Wick has never held championship gold in CIW. The Keanu Konnection as a unit have not held championship gold. Yes, Neo has the tag experience, but not only was it a long time ago, it's also a different partner. Everyone you're in proximity with, hey, you have a different chemistry with. And that's just the reality of it. So can this team even do it? And a backbreaker leg drop, oh my God! That was an insane double team maneuver by the Gigolos. And how Neo got right back up and landed a thigh squeeze is beyond me, and a tag out to John Wick, which might be the smartest thing that Neo has done so far. Now we see a drop kick and a roll through, and referee Luke Goss was talking to Neo, but I believe that Reptile, the illegal man, as Piccolo now legal, so that cover wouldn't have even applied anyway, and a Russian leg sweep by John Wick. John Wick using the devastating silencer, Neo using the Matrix, Piccolo with the special beam pile driver, and Reptile has both the acid bath and the REPTILE, which he actually used to beat Neo. So of course Neo and actually the Greasy Green Gigolos and Neo are definitely not strangers. As a matter of fact, most of 2024, the Greasy Green Gigolos were in the middle of a feud with the Shades of Black that ultimately ended and culminated in the first and only Fatal Attrition match, which is a series of cell matches. It was a 4-on-4 occasion elimination tag that ultimately came down to Neo and Reptile secured the victory. And you have to imagine that Neo remembers all of that pain, all of that suffering. It's probably why, to some degree, that the faction of the Shades of Black ended up splitting the way it did, and Neo decided to pursue other options, and a tag in and a big boot to Piccolo regardless. As now John Wick going into the corner of his own. And it looks like Piccolo trying to just burst out of the enemy corner as he's trying to just get out of the hostile territory. And more right hands by the former tag champ. As John Wick came in, made a pretty significant impression, actually assaulted Agent 47 and then stole the finisher, Agent 47, who was a part of the Shades of Black. And John Wick has been like, nope, it's mine now. And I both use it, but we have not seen a whole ton of success out of Agent 47 as of late, who has been entangled in or at least he was, in a feud with Majin Riddick, who won, and now cover here by Piccolo and only won as a punch to the knee by John Wick. As I was saying before, Agent 47 beaten by Riddick at Massacre, and a big power slam there from John Wick. And folks, stay tuned because we've got a lot of big time action coming up. Of course, the Saturday Night Hype in between this match, this show, and the Brawlbarbecue is going to be main evented by Bruce Lee versus Brandon Ulrich of the Unforgettable, and Brandon Ulrich will have Jack 7 in his corner, as it is going to be that has been an ongoing feud, as Bruce Lee seems to be entangled just as much in with Nathan Von Schrader and Simon Belmont as far as getting the Unforgettable faction out of CIW for good. Now that it is run exclusively by Jack 7, it has caused nothing but problems. But the Greasy Green Gigolos taking a minute just to recuperate, as referee Luke Goss just giving a talking to Piccolo. And now look at this double arm, and he's just wrenching the arms. And look at the strength of John Wick with this double chicken wing, and it is not enough to make Piccolo tap. And it would, and even if he did, it wouldn't matter because he's not the legal man. I believe it is Piccolo and Neo that are the legal men. But Reptile is not leaving. Reptile is not satisfied, and testicular torture to Neo. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of bad blood with these factions. You know, just because you have a blow-off match doesn't mean that the feelings all of a sudden are just like, oh, I guess everything's fine. No, oftentimes that's not the case. Cover from Piccolo, only one. Is John Wick getting back into the mix? Both of these teams, of course, it probably means a little bit. The Gigolos want those titles back, but for the Keanu Konnection to be in a position to win championship gold has got to be, you know, a momentous occasion in its own right. Of course, the first Mirror Force champions will get a CIW tag team title shot at the time of their choosing, as is the stipulation of all the tournaments here at Battle City and the championships that are affiliated with them. Of course, next week we also have a couple of other matchups. We saw the Riddler lose tonight, but his affiliate, and I'll use that term loosely, Ganondorf going one-on-one with Batman. And we have another matchup. Oh, now cover from Reptile 2 and only 2, as John Wick able to get there just barely. And we'll also see a big-time matchup that might have Exceeds implications, but a first-time meeting in a very long time between Ermac and Mr. Clean. Very interesting pairing there. We'll see how that matchup takes place. So that's all coming up on Saturday Night Hype next week on the 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Then, of course, the Brawlbarbecue celebrating 250 years of American independence for those who celebrate, and just celebrating a good old-fashioned series of brawls if you don't celebrate, but we're going to give you all the action that we possibly can, the most intense action we can. 3 titles of 4 matches, and the 4th match is a gigantic grudge match between Freddy Krueger and Dante, so we're going to give you everything we possibly can on the 4th, as now Reptile looking to maybe recuperate a little bit here with Piccolo, as he ran all the way back to the neutral corner, or to his own corner, as both of these teams are trying to be as calculated as they can, because these tag matches, it's not as simple as hit your finish, go for the cover, that's your aunt, Bob's your uncle. you know, you got to make sure that the opponent and his partner are both incapacitated. They're out of the way. Or at least distracted with something. And that's hard to do. We've seen a lot of matches that could have been ended in 7 minutes go 25. Because to get the right cocktail of a winning formula in CIW tag matches takes a lot of endurance, it takes a lot of timing, it takes a lot of punishment, and it takes a lot of fatigue, and a lot of powering through fatigue and endurance. And that is something that the Greasy Green Gigolos are more than familiar with. As Reptile back into the ring, referees count up to 6, and there are countouts here. As this is now, referees count up to 7, and Reptile, I believe, just broke up the count. As Luke Goss was starting to get in that. And, you know, that's the thing about the Gigolos. Even if they could win by countout, they refuse to do that. They're here to have a good time, not to ruin everybody's time. And so, sometimes to their own detriment, they act as honorably as they can. And I respect that out of the two of them, and it's why they've been so beloved by the CIW fans at home and abroad, as they say. And I mentioned at the very beginning of this match that the Keanu Konnection are rather polarizing, because, I mean, who doesn't love Keanu Reeves? I love Keanu Reeves. And the fact, oh, wait a second, they did a snake eyes into a matrix, and this could be it. Out of position is Piccolo. Can he get a cover here? But Piccolo getting back to the corner before Neo went for a cover. And as a matter of fact, he didn't go for a cover. He actually let John Wick go for the cover. I don't know about the strategy about that. But as I was starting to say, that, you know, Keanu Reeves is beloved, and a lot of fans wanted to like the Keanu Konnection at start. But then you started watching him wrestle. You started watching him do what they do. And now a big boot, and I'm pretty sure Reptile has been busted open. Oh yeah, you can see it on the canvas. As, you know, somehow that sometimes seems to stimulate the Gigolos, I've noticed. And particularly Reptile, he is not afraid to get some juice. And oh no! But I think that the blood might have poured into the eyes as he was just started to spinning heel kick everything in sight. And instead of hitting a Keanu, he hit Luke Goss. And Goss is down, save a referee. And I think that Goss just got hit again by an overshot forearm by John Wick as Piccolo is running interference as best as he can. Reptile is bleeding profusely. And now going for a cover onto Neo, but nobody there. There was no ref to go for a cover, or at least make the count. And John Wick able to break it up once again, as this match is just completely deteriorated. Lucas going after John Wick like Reptile wasn't the one who did the damage. But it's a hard position to be in. And oh, what a TKO! A fireman's carry facebuster. And impressive, yeah, I guess as a TKO is slightly different. That's a fireman's carry like into an RKO style. But still an impressive maneuver there by Neo. And Neo now a wrench to the leg, take a drink or a scoop of ice cream. And a nice snapmare there. You know, just look at the skull. John Wick staying on point, staying precision pointed with his attack, as he's been going straight after the skull of Reptile for the past several offensive moves he's executed. Now into the corner goes Reptile. Neo and Reptile legal here in this Mirror Force semifinals, the main event of Battle City 8. And we thank you all for coming and giving us the time of your evening, and we thank you all for inviting us into your home each and every Saturday night. It is where we will always be, and we appreciate you being there along for the ride with us. And it doesn't matter how many, we appreciate each and every one of you showing up, and it is I know deep in my heart, and we all do here in CIW, that all of you who are, oh wait a second, Matrix, oh man, I was just about to praise you, the fans, but I don't think I'm gonna get the chance, as he hit a Matrix on Piccolo, and go for the cover. Neo, tagging again, John Wick. And I have to wonder if Neo is starting to get a little gassed, and now not even a 1 count, as John Wick attempts the cover long after a cover should have been made. But this is the inexperience of the Keanu Konnection. You know, this is a big time matchup, maybe one of the biggest for the Keanu Konnection here tonight. But wait a second, now Reptile, what's he doing here? And it looked like a belly to belly. And he just used that left arm to kind of vault the rest of the body forward. But I was starting to say, as now this has just continued to deteriorate. All 4 men just beating the hell out of each other. Though, as Incredizone watches eagerly, I'm sure. But I was starting to say, all of you, the fans, those of you who come and watch, and I know all of you who have subscribed actually care. You know, it's been organic fan engagement. You know, I don't blow up because I placate to an algorithm and then punch down on the people below me all of a sudden. And look who's starting to lose subs. I'm just saying, but there's no one I'm talking about here. I'm just venting hot air into the ethos, which is what you do. That is the world today. I mean, I have a podcast of same. Don't forget to subscribe to the Court Martial podcast. And oh, and a miscue! As I think what happened here, miscommunication, and that breakdown in miscommunication could prove fatal in consequence, as Reptile just got his face busted. It was already busted. It was bleeding. It was bloody. It was profuse. And now the cover. Is that going to be enough? 1, 2, 3. Oh, man. As a miscommunication right at the end, and the Keanu Konnection capitalized. As what a matchup between these two, but the Matrix. Both the Greasy Green Gigolos got a Matrix, and it definitely mattered. There was definitely difficulty in comprehending. I mean, we saw Reptile spinning heel kick the ref. Piccolo hit Reptile. It ended up being the ultimate ending. The Matrix did them in. The Keanu Konnection are headed to the finals. Thank you all for coming to Battle City. Let's take a look at the bracket, and we will see you next week for Saturday Night Hype. Take care, everybody.